says sports. It's Saturday night, and I'm glad the NFL draft is over. It was not something I see myself sitting through ever again. It didn't go well, in my opinion. I mean, it went well, but there was a lot of moving parts, and there were some things that took place that left us all feeling the same thing at the same time, like Bubba Dub. If y'all know who it is, he posted earlier. He had some thoughts that had some expletives in it. And I feel just like he does. We gonna talk about some things, but I want to get some congratulations out the way. After Shedeur got drafted, it seemed to pick up steam. Everybody else from Colorado got either drafted or signed. And I have thoughts about the NFL. I have some takeaways about the next steps that need to occur right away. Or at least the ball needs to get going. I DM somebody. We're going to talk about it. I don't think if I was invested in these guys all the way from Jackson State, I don't think I would have made it all the way through the draft. It's obviously some tomfoolery was happening. And I know I said probably months ago, I said the NFL is in a tug of war. What that means is it's in transition. It started a long time ago at a period of ugly history in America. And there seems to be two different factions. The fans want to win, and the NFL powers that be want to preserve the way the league looks. Okay. I talked about it on Threads. Lots of commentary was taking place on Threads. I talked a little bit about it on Instagram, but for the most part, I discussed it on Threads. Had small discussion on YouTube and a very minimal discussion on X. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about the draft. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't see me ever sitting through something like that again, because, and I'm like, they say this was the worst one. This draft has never been like this. This was unprecedented. This, that, and the other. And here's the thing. The reason why it was so disjointed, the reason why it was so problematic is because up until this draft, the league has been about drafting talent. There's already chatter going back a few years that there's one team in particular that doesn't want to win. You had a former player, Des Bryant, saying the Cowboys not trying to win. We have talked about this on this podcast. They have a $10 billion valuation. They can get their money another way. So, football is just entertainment for them. But today, the league is more aligned with the Dallas Cowboys. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the league has changed in the way that it looks. The league's been around, how many Super Bowls are we on? 50, 56, something like that, 60, somewhere in there. So let's just say 60 years going back, because it was another league, then it turned into another league, and things switched out a little bit. Now, the league at one point, it was Native American. There was a Native American league out there. That's where Jim Thorpe came from. Then he folded into a different league, which folded into the NFL. Mostly white. And at some point, they started getting HBCU players, right? Because HBCU players couldn't go to private white institutions, what we call PWIs. And that, once all the great Black players started going into college and in the NFL, that depleted NFL ranks, because then Black players were like, oh, hey, I can start going to Alabama. I can start going to try to get drafted. And to this day, I know I heard a conversation on a podcast involving Michael Parsons where they were like talking to different people were talking. And somebody who went to Alabama was asked, why did you go to Alabama? And they said, because I want to get drafted. Now, there's some truth to that. I checked today. I told y'all Alabama, the SEC got most of, in my opinion, the combine invites. And the SEC is that one conference that they like to hold up in some royal fashion. Let's just say it that way. And it's true to that. But see, this year is Georgia. Georgia had the most players, I think, ever drafted. Now, the top 4 and the semifinalists for the Natty, Georgia wasn't in it. I think it was Oregon and the University of Texas, Notre Dame and Ohio State, and then it went down to Notre Dame and Ohio State. That's what I think. I didn't say Georgia, did I? But Georgia still had the most players drafted. So you got a lot of students, players running around with NIL trying to figure out where they could go to get drafted. Now, before this draft, it was if you were good, you could go to Georgia or you could go to Alabama. They can pick and choose who they want to get. And the draft was about talent, and it still is for people like Travis, Taj Brooks, Cam Scatterbull went super late, very surprising. But Ashton Jeanty went earlier than expected. People have thoughts on running backs that they shouldn't even be in the first round. I disagree. I'm happy for Ashton Jeanty. But then there's the quarterback. In the NFL, the quarterback is the most important position. It's the quarterback and then everybody else. That's how it goes. Even Cam Ward joked about the baddies that's dating the rookies don't know any better when they should be dating the quarterback because that's who sits at the top of the food chain or the money list in the NFL. So the 2025 draft was supposed to look like this based on talent. Top 4 QBs: Cam, Shedeur, Jalen Milroe, and Jackson Dart. Before we got heavy into the combine, when they start putting out mock drafts, that's the way it was. Jalen Milroe was supposed to go to the Saints, and that was before they hired Kellen Moore. So, that's when they started doing this, right? But as we got closer and closer and closer, you heard more about Jackson Dart. Now, you have not heard anybody say that Jackson Dart is better than Shedeur Sanders. You have definitely never heard anybody say that Tyler Shaw is better than Shedeur Sanders or Jalen Milroe. So if we're going off talent, Cam Ward, the Titans, Shedeur Sanders, the Browns, Jackson Dart, the Giants, Jalen Milroe, the Saints. The Raiders already had their guy at Geno Smith. They proved that. They didn't take Shedeur. When Shedeur was in Vegas working out with Cam, we saw him in a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful high-rise hotel. They practiced at the Tillman Fertitta Center. Put a pin in that. And I remember him saying they were eating lunch. They were talking about the teams he plays, the college football, the Madden game with, the one that has the pros. He plays with the Browns. And I remember then he said it. I always play with the Browns. I like the way they get down. That's what he said way back then. And I know on this podcast, I said, how many times, countless times, the Browns been crushing on Shedeur hard. The Browns been crushing on Shedeur since the jump. Now, y'all know the media has been trying to influence Shedeur's draft stock. And somebody put out a post that said, that's ridiculous. Teams don't listen to the media. Well, Mike Tomlin has said slightly different. People walked away from this draft knowing that there was some bias happening. There was some impropriety happening. That something wasn't right. That Shedeur was being blackballed. In fact, it was actually discussed that Shedeur was being about as blackballed as badly as who? Colin Kaepernick. And it got me to thinking about how every almost 10 years, it seems like we keep getting the curtain pulled back on the NFL when it comes to black quarterbacks and how they're treated. In 2016, it was Colin Kaepernick. It's 2025. We almost pushing 2026. Y'all know what happened. Y'all know who he knelt for. People that look like him. And y'all know he got ostracized. He got blackballed. They end up settling. It's called collusion. So in this draft, that's what people say is happening to Shedeur Sanders, but he didn't kneel. He just said he wanted to go to a team where they want to change the culture because he's a transformative quarterback. He changed his high school into a winning high school. He changed Jackson State and he changed Colorado. So why wouldn't he want to go to a team that wants to win? And early in the process, the Giants, the media kept relegating Shedeur to the Giants. And I said it 100 times. Shedeur's not going to the Giants. And people are like, why wouldn't he go to the Giants? I'm like, because they have never, and I mean never, ever, ever, had a black starting quarterback. People came at me, what about Tyrod Taylor? I said he didn't even start playing in the one season he played for them until week 4. And he only played 5 games. You don't get to be a starter in 5 games. You have to play the majority of the games. And they were like, what about Jameis Winston? I'm like, Jameis Winston took 2 snaps in November when they bitched Eli Manning. No. So people are like, damn, they've never had a black quarterback. No. So the bid to push the Shedeur to the Giants was futile. It was never, ever, ever going to happen. They don't get down like that. I remember when they picked Daniel Jones. They was supposed to pick somebody else. May he rest in peace. Some of these franchises are problematic. They don't have any issues with the running backs being black. They might actually prefer it. They don't have any issues with the wide receivers being black because they might actually prefer their speed. They don't have any issues with the cornerbacks being black. Some of the defensive linemen, they don't care about that. I don't know how many O-linemen are black. I don't know how many tight ends are black. But I do know when it comes to the most important position on the team, it is documented that the NFL has historically discriminated against black QBs in the NFL draft, something we just witnessed. So something that took place, it was documented from 2010 to 2022, took place again in 2025. And people are like, well, what about 2024? I'm like, what about it? Well, you got Caleb. How many times was he sacked? 66. Damn near record. Then you had Jaden Daniels. Wasn't shit they could do about that. But we're going to see what happened next year. And then Michael Penix Jr. See, in 2024, some things happened that had never happened before. Black starting quarterbacks or black quarterbacks became the majority in the NFL. Now, mind you, in 2001, when Michael Vick was drafted, he was the first black quarterback to get drafted in the first round. So that should tell you how precious the rounds are. People argue with me all day yesterday after Shedeur got snubbed. Well, what about Cam Ward? I'm like, Tennessee didn't even settle on Cam Ward, and I do use the word settle, no disrespect to Cam Ward, until late, a few days before the draft. They announced in a pre-draft meeting, hey, we decided we're going to keep our pick. The question is, what the hell did they do when they realized that Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, or Jalen Milroe were the top 3 QBs in the board? They said, oh, we want to sell our pick. The fans were like, if Will Levis is still the quarterback when this season starts, we're going to burn it all down. And then they decided, well, let's talk about Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. As late as the weeks and days following Colorado's showcase, the Titans still wanted to meet with Shedeur again until he said, thank you, but no thank you, because I know y'all really want Cam Ward. If they did, they would have been silent on him. But you know who was silent? You know who stood down pat? The Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville said out the rip, they wanted Travis and they was going to let him play both ways, and they talking about it. That's where Travis went. Cleveland got pumped. And let me tell you why. There are 32 teams in the NFL. There were only 2 teams And it so happened that the head coach is black on one and the GM is black on the other, that the media tried to force into a situation. As awful as the New Orleans Saints are, there was never any talk about the Saints getting picked out of their, getting scammed out of their picks. Even though nobody's happy with what they pick, and I'm glad I don't live there no more. That's god awful. For somebody who's a sports fan, oh hell no. They don't want to win. They do not want to win. And that is what is obvious. Some of the takeaways from this draft, when it comes to the quarterback position, it's about preservation. Preservation of what it used to look like before black quarterbacks became a thing. And in order to do that, I have to snub black excellence to pick mediocrity. When players in general and in quarterbacks get pushed to later rounds, it messes with their money. If Shedeur had gone to the Browns with the second pick, his contract for 4 years would have been a total of about $40 million. Now he's looking at a contract of $5 million. So they robbed him of $35 million. And the media helped. The hypocrisy of all of this is the media spent months slandering Shedeur Sanders. And today they were outraged that he failed past the second round. I'm like, well, isn't that what you wanted? That's all y'all advocated for. When you did your mock drafts, you kept saying he wasn't going in the first round. He might fall to the third round. Y'all said that as late as the day of the draft because he wasn't in Green Bay. So why were you outraged? You fake clutching your pearls when you colluded with the NFL to disparage this young man. Not because he's not good. Oh, y'all know he good. And you know he gonna be the face of the league. You know if he'd have went number 2, he was gonna be on every billboard, and he probably still is. But what you don't want is for any of these black players to think that they have any kind of choice in anything. Essentially, you're telling everybody that was watching you buck break Shedeur to shut up and dribble. That's what you did. You try to send a message. You try to get your preference in there. You knew that this was going to be the second year in the row that 3 black quarterbacks were going to come out the first round, and 2 of the 3 was going to likely start, which further increases the majority of black quarterbacks in this league that starts, something you never wanted. So you took the one that everybody would look at, and you tried to humiliate him, but you failed. You failed. That young man and his family cheered and celebrated like he was drafted first overall. And I'm so proud of them, because it's not just performative art when Coach Prime say you have to believe. You have to believe in the face of adversity that God gonna come through for you. Shedeur never wavered. The first thing he said was, I knew I was gonna get drafted. He said he was God's favorite. And they tried to drag him to hell. And that's why I can't watch. I'm not watching no more drafts, because everybody watching this whole scenario, whether you was glued to it or kept checking in on it periodically, we all now know that when it comes to the QB position, it is not about talent. They don't care about the rest of the positions. They care about the most important position on the team, because that is who is the face of the team, and that is who is the face of the league. One of them will be. Shedeur was not chasing the bag. For a lot of those guys, that's a huge payday for them. They were never wealthy. Some of them might have been doing well for themselves, but Shedeur grew up wealthy. He just wanted to ball. And that's why he didn't want to go to a team that cared more about the skin color of the quarterback than they care about winning the Super Bowl. When you have a Travis Hunter and Tennessee refuses to even consider drafting him, not that we wanted Travis in Tennessee, but the point is, when you don't have a quarterback and what you have is not sufficient, it has been proven to be not sufficient, and you get Cam Ward and you hemming and hawing and dragging around for months trying to sell your pick, you don't appreciate him. But if he was white, would you have done any of that? Probably not. So congratulations for Cam Ward for getting the bag and it being guaranteed. I'm happy for Cam. I hope they do him right. I hope he starts for the whole season, not for 5 games. And Travis, shout out to the Jacksonville Jaguars because they won the first round. The Jaguars been treating Travis like the king that he is. The Jacksonville Jaguars did what a team does. We want you. We believe in you. Flew him down there on the PJ, showed him his locker. They were doing a little song and dance on the way out. I'm like, they love Travis. That's how you supposed to feel. The draft was supposed to be a celebration. And they tried to ruin Shedeur's party. Thankfully, he was at home. That's why I'm glad he was at home. Some of them didn't like that. Another reason why they passed over him. That's why so many people were surprised. People knew last week Jackson Dart was going to the Giants. And probably last week, the Giants wanted another private workout for Shedeur. I told y'all it's like they were trying to, force themselves on him. But they were never going to draft him. So they needed to disparage Shedeur, to drop his draft stock, move him out the way so I can justify drafting Jackson Dart because my job is on the line. That's also what happened in Cleveland. Cleveland's GM been courting Shedeur, I know, since the Shrine Bowl. Some of those teams asked Shedeur not to work out at the Shrine Bowl, and they didn't even draft him. And probably never was going to. They just took him off the pedestal so nobody else could see him. But then at the draft, they tried to drag him because he wasn't at the Senior Bowl. I don't even know if any Colorado players had invites to the Senior Bowl. So they tried to rain on his party, and it didn't work. He's happy to go to Cleveland. He plays PS5 with them or whatever, Madden football with them. He say he liked the way they get down. Even the GM. The GM was the first GM out of all the teams that said they don't have a problem with Coach Prime if they draft Shedeur. They try to make this about Coach Prime. This was never about Coach Prime. This was a smoke screen. If you looking at Coach Prime is the problem, then you probably could understand why no team wants to draft Shedeur. But what you didn't know is the Giants wasn't going to never draft Shedeur because they've never had a black starting quarterback. And for the people that came in my comments and said, well, they got Russ and they say Russ going to start. Let's see how many games. Because they could always change their mind and find some reason because they clearly didn't want Russ to be QB1 in Pittsburgh. And he took them to the playoffs. So they want him to be QB1 in New York. Yeah, okay, we going to see. Somebody, well, we drafted Dart, but he's not going to start. So you used your number 3 pick on a quarterback, and you going to bench him. Well, I checked. That don't generally happen with the number 3 pick. You don't draft up that high and pay that kind of money to bench. So we going to see. And remember, 5 games does not make you a starter. So I'm happy that Shedeur got to Cleveland. They've been trying to disparage the GM on the cool by saying Cleveland gonna get scammed out of their picks. Well, I think they did a damn good job with Travis Hunter going to Jacksonville. They seemed happy with him, and he's happy with them. And that's the way it's supposed to be. They celebrated Travis. Thankfully, Shedeur celebrated with his family. Now, one thing I can say about Cleveland that I noticed right before the draft, and this is where the switch came. I'll tell you this is where the switch came. For some reason, as long as this process has been, it was put out there. The Browns, like an executive owner or somebody above the GM, put it out to the public. Yeah, we took a big swing with Deshaun Watson and missed. That was a direct threat to the GM. If you draft Shedeur Sanders and this shit, no, I'm going to fire you. People like, why did Mike Tomlin draft Shedeur Sanders? Because he was going to get fired. And he still might. Because Aaron Rodgers, I think, has signed with them. And everybody has said they forced Russ out of Pittsburgh. They forced Aaron Rodgers in. So if he mess up at the age of 42, they're going to fire Mike Tomlin. So an article came out about 2 to 3 weeks before the draft. Mike Tomlin is being advised to draft Shedeur Sanders and put him behind Aaron Rodgers. They don't want Shedeur to be the face of the league. They don't want Shedeur to start. They didn't want Russell Wilson to start in Pittsburgh, but Justin Fields got benched. So Russ started and took him to the playoffs, and guess what happened? They forced Russ out of Pittsburgh. You think he's going to really start in New York? Let's see how many games. So that was a direct threat to Cleveland. People were like, I see Mike Tomlin ain't going to put his job on the line. I said, well, either Mike Tomlin is trying to save his job, and he probably can't, or he trying to save Shedeur. Because he knows Shedeur better than QB2. He probably didn't want to put Shedeur behind Aaron Rodgers. You don't think Pittsburgh knew that Aaron Rodgers was waiting to see who they drafted before he decided? So if Pittsburgh would have drafted Shedeur, Aaron Rodgers probably would have went somewhere else, and they would have feel like they lost. It was already said with a photo of Mike Tomlin. Pittsburgh failed to sign a $40 million QB. They forgot to say he was 42 years old and nobody else wanted him. So then they said Mike Tomlin is being advised to draft Shedeur Sanders and put him behind Aaron Rodgers. Y'all know Shedeur Sanders is the most NFL ready, pro ready QB. He don't need to be QB2 just like Michael Penix Jr. didn't. So out of the 24 draft that people kept asking me about, because it was 3 QBs, one got sacked 66 times. Michael Penix Jr. got benched behind Kirk Cousins, who they paid an ungodly amount of money to, and then now they want to get rid of him. And then Jaden Daniels went on to take his team to the Division Conference Championship. But guess what? It was said that the person who was the problem in the Texans was C.J. Stroud in his sophomore year, after he took his team pretty damn far for a rookie, was sent to the Washington Commanders where Jaden Daniels is. So should we expect Jaden Daniels to have a sophomore slump like C.J. Stroud? None of this is happening to white rookie QBs. No white rookie QBs are being sacked unmercilessly. It was already said how many times Shedeur Sanders is going to be sacked. It was discussed that Cleveland don't have a good O-line, but then again, they might have got one in the draft. So we wish Shedeur well in Cleveland. And yes, that was a direct threat talking about Deshaun Watson didn't work out there. So basically, if you pick Shedeur, Cleveland got 4 QBs. They got Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Joe Flacco, who's 40, and Kenny Pickett, who came from behind QB2, behind Jalen Hurts. And then they just put a white QB behind Jalen Hurts. The quarterback position is the most important position in the NFL. They covet it. They don't like what is happening. That black excellence has become the majority. So in this draft, Shedeur got burned. Jalen Milroe got burned. Dylan Gabriel got burned because he on the same team with Shedeur Sanders. That's why people kept saying this has never happened before. Right. Because honestly, even all they would do with the black quarterbacks is push them down in the lower round and mess up their money. But then the numbers keep growing and they keep growing. They keep winning. What happened this year before the Super Bowl, before the Bills came into the scenario? What did they say if the Bills would have lost? We would have had 4 black quarterbacks in the AFC and NFC championship games vying for the Super Bowl. 4. Some people think that Lamar Jackson got set up when they threw that ball to the tight end who couldn't hold on to it, when they had other players who could. They brought in players for Lamar Jackson to have somebody to throw to, but oops. So that knocked Lamar out. It would have been 4. Quarterback's the most important position in the NFL. They covet it and they are going through extreme lengths to try to curtail these numbers of black starting QBs. Bo Nix started, nobody said a word, but Shedeur got to sit behind Aaron Rodgers. When we all know, out of all those QBs, Shedeur was him and should be starting. That's why I said, let's see if Cam start, because that's going to be crazy. He should start with no problem. They needed a quarterback, but they had to think about it. They didn't even have to think about it. They was going to trade that pick. And I said, had they traded that pick, somebody would have came for it, and it would have been Shedeur. And that's why they kept it. Yep. Quarterback position is the most important position in NFL. So when you push these players down to what they did to Shedeur, they robbed him. They picked his pockets for $35 million. And they knew exactly what they were going to do because they weaponized this same thing, the draft, with Lamar Jackson. They did the same thing to Jalen Hurts. They did the same thing to Geno Smith, who, like Shedeur, was supposed to go in the first round. And Geno Smith didn't go to the second. He had to come back the second day. So as of today, Shedeur has been done the worst out of everybody. Going back. I had a solution. I was on a train from the airport. And I was talking and I looked up and I saw a football stadium. And I swear I had a vision. It just came to me. I said, you know what? Coach Prime needs to start his own pro football league. So I DM'd him. And I said, and I don't know Coach Prime, and he probably gonna never answer it because you could DM people and they don't pay attention. I said, Coach Prime, it's time for you to start your own pro football league. Coach Prime has already had a football program at the youth level. I don't think it's a coincidence that Colorado's likely starting QB, Kaden Salter, was a part of that program, just as a reminder. I think after what happened in the draft, he probably realizes he don't have friends like he thought he had. That in the face of preservation for what the league used to look like, I will burn you and your son. And that's exactly what's happening. So now when those scouts go out there to Colorado, because they negatively affected the program too, understand that. We had 3 players hop in the portal because they got scared. Well, damn, if Shedeur can't get drafted, how the hell I'm going to get drafted? That's facts. You see, after Shedeur got drafted, then the rest of all of our guys went. And it was so late, the ones that likely could have been drafted 5, 6, and 7 became free agents. But it's okay. It's okay. And people like, oh, it's his attitude. I called people out. I said, you know, that's what y'all said. So you could ignore 400 years of slavery. That's their attitude. That's why I'm like, oh, that's why we were slaves, because our attitude. That's what it is. It wasn't his attitude. This young man is gracious. It's the fact that he doesn't fit the stereotype. Shedeur Sanders is not fitting the stereotype. The same stereotype that the NBA was trying to fit Anthony Edwards in, asking why he don't want to be the face of the league. Because he know he ain't right. He know that's not what other kids need to be seeing. He know that abandoning his children and having 4 kids by 5 different women or whatever it is not the model to put out there. He even say, I don't want to be a role model, because he's not. And the league keep asking. Because that's what they want. They want somebody that they could constantly trot out like it's a 3-ring circus. They looking for that player who mom has 5 kids by 9 different men, and his daddy is in jail for selling EBT cards. That's what they want. He's not that. He's wealthy. They don't want that. They don't want that. They need something to hold up that makes us look bad, and he doesn't. He doesn't make us look bad at all. But that's what they want. And then they're going to put somebody next to him like Arch Manning and make him look like an angel. That's what they want. Shedeur Sanders got snubbed, but so did Jalen Milroe. And he went to Alabama. And I'm going to tell you, young men out here running to Alabama so you could get drafted, you might as well go to Colorado and band together with your brothers and win that chip. Because that's what's going to get you drafted. Because Jalen Milroe had to go through hell at Alabama. And he still got drafted late, and they made him QB2 instantly behind Sam Darnold. So in order for him to get an opportunity, I guess Sam Darnold going to have to get hurt, because they just paid Sam Darnold $100 million. So who you think going to start down there? Okay. They want Shedeur to be QB2, Jalen Milroe to be QB2, because that is the only way you slow down the growing numbers of black starting QBs. That's the only way you're going to do it. Push them down late. Relegate them to QB2. Don't let them start. And we still stay up. So I told people it's well documented 2010 to 2022, how badly the NFL discriminated against black QBs in the NFL draft. And I wondered why all of these black analysts, from the Pivot to CBS and NBC and ABC and every damn where that has a channel that was talking about the draft, was sitting up hemming and hawing about Shedeur and refused to say that the NFL does have an ugly history of discrimination against black QBs. That not that long ago, they didn't even want black QBs. And when Lamar Jackson came in and won the Heisman, and they left him to last because he didn't want to be a wide receiver. He didn't win the Heisman for a wide receiver. He won the Heisman for quarterback. That's why they don't like dual threat quarterbacks, because that's why the numbers have risen so fast since Michael Vick. And I pointed out, I wonder if Michael Vick ever asked himself how they found out about what was going on. Not that it was right, but how you knew about it. Because see, remember, the pre-draft process, they look into everything, and including your neighbors, everything, and your sister, baby mama, cousin, daddy. So why did it come out before the draft? It came out after he was the starter in Atlanta. And then that went away. Not that it was right. People have pointed out that there are people who have been arrested, have felonies, have convictions for recreational use that's illegal, and they still get drafted, and they still go high. Trevor Lawrence said he don't play football with a chip on his shoulder. And they were like, oh my God. You know, because they want you to be all football. They want you to be Shedeur, to be honest. Shedeur don't do nothing. He don't go nowhere. He just watch film and make music. He ain't even watching music no more. I bet what he doing right now, making film. I'm watching film. Watching film. That's really what they want. It's like Jim Crow in the NFL. I have this set of rules for you, and I have this set of rules for you. And even though you are what I want, because you don't look like them, I can't let you do it for me. I got to get somebody else. And I have to settle for mediocrity because he can't keep up. But that's what I'm going to have to do because you black. Everybody was waiting for Shedeur to be drafted, to find out where he was going so we could celebrate, get a jersey, or just be happy, or just know. Bubba Dub, the comedian who has a podcast, put out a post that said, if the NFL keep messing around with Shedeur, and y'all know I'm paraphrasing, I'm going to burn it down. That's how upset people were. There was a cartoon, a caricature made about the Saints. The fact that they first pick was an offensive tackle, and people said, where's Shedeur at? And the response was, they trying to build a wall, not a team. So that told me we all on the same page now. They're not trying to build winning teams. This is about preservation, especially when it comes to the quarterback position. So I wanted Coach Prime, and I still do. I want Coach Prime to start his own league, because I think they're going to try to negatively affect the program in Colorado. And if he has his own league, not that he needs to leave Colorado, he can be an owner, and the investors and everybody else can run it, and this, that, and the other, and they can draft from college. So they become competition for the NFL. Somebody was like, it's not going to work. I'm like, I said, the Prime effect is tried and true. Do you not understand what Coach Prime did at Jackson State? Jackson State been posting about Shedeur and Travis like they still there. And I love to see it, because Travis and Shedeur keep Jackson State in the conversation. They always reference Jackson State. That's what you're supposed to do. What happened to Lamar Jackson was ugly. If you think what happened to Shedeur was ugly, you don't know what happened to Lamar Jackson. There used to be a test called the Wonderlic. I looked it up. I wanted to see what kind of questions it asked. It was a math question that was asking me about some eggs and a decimal point and this, that, and the other. And I was like, what in the hell does this have to do with deciding whether or not this person could be the quarterback and run some touchdowns and score some touchdowns? Jalen Milroe got snubbed for the same reason Lamar Jackson got snubbed. In fact, it said that Jalen Milroe's faster than Lamar Jackson because they dual threat quarterbacks. Shedeur not even typically the true dual threat quarterback. Can run with the legs, super athletic. They try to put him down for it. In fact, he's been more closely compared to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow went in the first round, damn near picked 1 or 2. So for everything that Shedeur is, that's different from Lamar Jackson, it still didn't work for him. He's cerebral. It didn't work for him. Because he's good. And he's likely going to win. And if they didn't want Russ to win and Pittsburgh to run it up with Mike Tomlin, and they don't want Lamar Jackson to run it up and win right there in Baltimore where he been since he got drafted, maybe they don't want Shedeur to run it up and they don't want him to change the franchise. It's not about winning for everybody. The draft wasn't about talent at the QB position, and it's not about winning franchises. And the cartoon I saw today that say they don't want to build a team, they want to build a wall, tells you what it's about. Politics. That's what we all witness. Now we all know. So when you go and you spend your money for these tickets, understand that you're going to see a show. It used to be a competitive football game. But when you don't pick to win and you pick to preserve what the league used to look like before the majority of quarterbacks became black, it's just a show. That's why one player from Dallas, when he left, he said, what? Oh, I never win a Super Bowl there. I'm glad I'm gone because they're not trying to win the Super Bowl. So now something that has been talked about on the low, casual conversation, was shown to all of us today. The curtain was pulled back again. When it was Colin Kaepernick's turn, it told us that they didn't want black players to stand up for each other and for people that look like them, their mamas, daddies, cousins, sisters, and whatever. And now in 2025, when they pull back the curtain using Shedeur, we're not about winning. We're about the optics, preserving what it used to look like before y'all started trying to take over. Yeah, it's okay that the majority of all the other positions are black, but that's starting to change too. One of the reporters called it out at the combine. She said, man, tight ends are starting to take over. I want you to pay attention to the tight ends. I mean, if I'm going to lose grace at this position, I'm going to have to get it over here. And then one day, when all the quarterbacks are 99% black, the quarterback position not going to be the most important position on the team. The rules going to change again. So it's up to y'all if that's what you want to invest your time in. I'm still rooting for the guys. I'm happy Shedeur got drafted. I'm happy Travis got drafted. But this was exhausted. It was mentally taxing. It was a shame. It was a travesty. It was a farce. And it was some bullshit. And I don't spend my time on bullshit. So when the guys come out of CU that stay and go to the draft, I'm going to be cheering for y'all. But I ain't going to be sitting down glued to the TV for 3 days. Best believe that. Because after round 1, I was out. I didn't even go live yesterday. My family was like, what? You're not going live? I'm like, I need a minute. We all were waiting on this. And they chose mediocrity in the face of black excellence. And that was hard. That was hard on all of us. So let me see who in here. I see 127 people. Wow. It said, when you clear-minded, thinking individual like Muhammad Ali or Shedeur Sanders, they never like you. And that brings me to something that I have got to share. Not only were people putting out posts showing their frustration, whether it was the Saints or the NFL, in case of Bubba Dub say he's going to take a match to it, and I totally agree. There was a post that came out that, in my opinion, confirmed just how bad things were. And I'm going to read it. I was like, what? Y'all see it right here. It says, now this is the president of the United States. Y'all know who this is. This is crazy, y'all. It says, what is wrong with the NFL owners? Are they stupid? It said Shedeur Sanders was a great college football player and was even greater in the NFL. He's also a very good coach. He's streetwise and smart, Therefore, Shedeur, his quarterback's son, has phenomenal genes and is all set for greatness. Facts. Facts. Believe me, that's facts. And then he says he should be picked immediately by a team that wants to win. Good luck, Shedeur. And he spelled it right. And say hello to your wonderful father. I was like, now that's how you know. That's how you know how badly they were trying to humiliate Shedeur. And it didn't work. I just want you to know it didn't work. And all people could say was, I asked the question, I said, is this one of those Jedi mind tricks? I immediately asked, now what the hell is really going on here? Because this is nuts. During the Super Bowl in New Orleans, it said that when Mr. 47 came to town, you remember how it used to say end racism in the end zone? That he didn't want that up there no more. So they took it down. And to me, ever since they did that, they've been on some BS. And I say, okay, they try to go set up a dual system here. Jim Crow. And they did it with Shedeur. So they tried to break his confidence. They tried to break his confidence, but it didn't work. He never gave up. He knew. And I don't know if y'all know, but a prank phone call came in. Shedeur Sanders was given a phone by Boost Mobile, strictly for the draft. He got his own devices, but they gave him this one to use for the draft. And the only numbers in it were NFL coaches and GMs, nobody else. And it was used for NFL communication. And there was probably emails. And on the emails was the phone number. So right before the Saints picked Tyler Shaw, Shedeur, they recorded everything. He got a phone call. It said, this is so-and-so, the GM, general manager of the Saints. We're getting ready to take you with our next pick. Shedeur said, okay, let's work. And then he said, oh, you're going to have to wait a little longer, buddy. And they hung up on it. And people, they were all trying to figure out what was going on. And they realized, and then right after that, Tyler Shaw got picked from the Saints. So it gave the impression that somebody from the Saints organization called Shedeur to say they were going to take him, but they were playing in his face. And they were like, oh, you're going to have to wait, buddy. Then it was announced on TV that Tyler Shaw. So that was confirmation right there that this was a concerted effort by lots of people to ice him out, to humiliate him. But he didn't, Shedeur never pouted. He never whined. He didn't cry. He didn't ask why me. He just posted, he posted today, when today started, another day to have an opportunity to do what I love. When he got drafted, he said, thank you, God. To me, it confirmed why New Orleans was never the place. I began to back off New Orleans. As much as it was a match, I was like, yes, I could see it from my Black perspective. Yes, I could see it. And as somebody who grew up there, it makes sense. And I know the city would, they fit to be tied with Derek Carr. Derek Carr is supposed to be out for the rest of the season. It was all falling into place. And it's like they were just toying with him. Now, who else did they do that to? Nobody. So the draft was ugly and it was weird. And one of the weirdest things was this tweet right here, because this not what you expect from this person, especially after New Orleans. That's how badly it was that the president of the United States talked about it. And the people he's aligned with, you will be surprised. So let me get to Tilman Fertitta for a minute. Tilman Fertitta, wonderful businessman. I think he might be the ambassador to Italy. I don't know. But he's a billionaire out of Houston, Vegas. They own casinos. He owns the Rockets. And he's closely aligned with Trump. And one time, I don't know if y'all know, Trump wanted to own an NFL team, but they would never let him. So that's why I was like, what the hell is this really about? Tilman Fertitta wanted to buy the Saints. They're not for sale. But he said if the current owner wanted to sell the Saints, he wanted to buy it. Then he would have the Rockets. Then he would have the Saints, and he was even possibly, I think, maybe wanting to get the Pelicans. So I don't know if y'all know, but Shedeur Sanders was working out at Las Vegas, and on the building, it said Fertitta Center. So unlikely allies came together to stand up and call out the NFL for Shedeur. But who could never do it? The media. Now they said Mel Kiper Jr. was upset. People talking about he might need to quit his job afterwards because he was upset how it went. But all I heard from the media for months is they didn't like Shedeur, that they knew Dart was going to sneak into the first round. Emmanuel Ocho antagonized Deion Sanders Jr. by asking him, is Jackson Dart QB2? Why would you ask Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur's brothers, what the hell Jackson Dart got going on? He don't know. Or maybe he do, but why should he speak on it? They knew then Jackson Dart was going to the Giants. I knew for months. I knew two things. I knew there was a plot to embarrass Shedeur. So if I knew, other people knew. And eventually, when you do crime with enough people, somebody gonna tell what happened. I talked about it. I posted it. I asked, is there a plot to embarrass Shedeur Sanders? Yeah. But they failed. They embarrassed themselves. See, that's what the NFL don't understand. When you plot to hurt a good person who refers to themselves as God's favorite and isn't a stereotype and is doing everything they're supposed to do and everybody loves them, this is the backlash you get. The president of the United States took the time to spell his name right and call out the NFL after he just asked them supposedly to remove in racism from the end zone in the Super Bowl. And I think got up and left when Kendrick Lamar started performing, but took the time for this. That tells you everything you need to know. Roger Goodell goes out. He was booed. I was wondering why they was booing him because, all I know about Roger Goodell is that his grandson was on Coach Prime's roster at Jackson State, and this is how they treat Shedeur. Before you move on to your blessings, God gonna show you who's not supposed to be there, who you not supposed to be aligned with, who your friends really are in the darkest hours when things go bad. We had 3 players hop in the portal. I wish them well. Because if you ain't going to Georgia, Texas, or Ohio State, you're going to have to ball out at CU. So let's talk about our guys and wish them congratulations that got drafted and got signed. All right. So first and foremost, Travis Hunter is in Jacksonville. And y'all mark y'all calendars right now. The live stream's going forward. We're going to start looking at the schedules of all the guys that are our faves that are going to certain teams because we showing up at one of these games. So we got Shedeur and we have Travis. Travis is with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I think 2 other players from Colorado are now in Jacksonville. So that means 3 players from Colorado are with Jacksonville. Cameron Silma-Craig. Y'all remember Shark, number 7? I think he played across from Travis on defense. Cameron Silma-Craig is in Jacksonville. So we want to wish Cameron Silma-Craig a congratulations, Cam. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. You balled out, sir. So I know you're going to go to camp and do what you got to do. So that's Cameron Silma-Craig. And then another young man that plays for the same team who y'all know should have got drafted because he is a dog. I can't wait to see him play. BJ Green, number 35. BJ Green played for Coach Prime's youth league. Yes, he did. I'm telling y'all, Coach Prime can have a league. He played, I don't know if it was for Truth or maybe a different league that Coach Prime had, but he played youth sports. Coach Prime told him, because he was playing running back. Coach Prime said, no, you a defensive guy. And he got into the league. Shout out to BJ Green. I know he gonna ball out. I know he gonna ball out. And then who else we have? Let's see who else. We have, who is this? Oh, what am I thinking? I forgot. Yeah, Headache Gang CEO, Shiloh. Oh, no, it's not Shiloh. This, Will Shepherd. But Shiloh got picked up too. So Shiloh is with the Tampa Bay Bucks. So is Will Shepherd. So the entire wide receiver core from Colorado is now in the NFL. Will Shepherd, Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horn Jr., and LaJohntay Wester. So, and some of them are teammates. So we're going to be talking about their schedules. Y'all turn on your notifications. We're going to be talking about these schedules. Shout out to Headache Gang CEO. Shedeur Sanders is with the Tampa Bay Bucks, 6 hours from Atlanta. And I can't wait till the Bucks play the Saints because I know Shiloh gonna put it on them. I cannot wait. I can't wait because I'm gonna tell you right now, that's the game I watched. I want Shiloh to put it on him for the way they did his brother. You damn right. People say they don't know who made that prank call. I'm like, it was one of y'all. So everybody gonna get it. So yeah, congratulations, the Big Headache Gang CEO Shedeur Sanders. He is now in the NFL with the Tampa Bay Bucks. His teammate from Colorado, Will Shepherd, is also there. And then we have, let's see, one of our favorites. Everybody was rooting for this young man, Jimmy Horn Jr. Jimmy Horn Jr. is now with the Carolina Panthers. His QB1, Bryce Young. He's also going to be alongside T-Mac, who went to Arizona. And I don't know if Jimmy Horn Jr. played the Arizona game. Now I got to go back and watch to see if because I know Jimmy got hurt at one point. So I need to go back and see because T-Mac played for Arizona. They are both now teammates in the NFL with Bryce Young as their quarterback. And I know Jimmy Horn Jr. probably going to be playing on special teams first. So I can't wait. We're going to be going over the Carolina schedule. We're going to go over Jacksonville's schedule. We're going over Cleveland's schedule. And we're going over Tampa Bay's schedule. And we're going over the Ravens schedule because Mr. Overly's older brother, LaJohntay Wester, is with the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. I'm like, what? Imagine watching the Bills versus the Ravens last year. And this year, you on the squad. That's what I'm talking about. So LaJohntay Wester got drafted. Jimmy Horn Jr. was drafted. Travis and Shedeur. Those were the four that were drafted. The rest signed with the team. So everybody's going to have to go through camp and, try to make the team. So I can't wait to see all the guys back to get. Bucky going to be busy crisscrossing, trying to make sure that, everybody is photographed. So shout out to the guys. Now, I want to point y'all attention. I remember when we talked about this photo the first time. This is Shedeur Sanders when he landed in Indianapolis. I believe that's where it was for the combine. Yeah. And everybody talked about this photo right here. That Shedeur Sanders had 3 hats. I don't know if y'all can see it, but one is the Saints. The other is the Browns. And the third hat, I think, was the Minnesota Vikings. There wasn't any Giants. There wasn't any Vegas. So it is very likely that he knew either the Saints or the Browns were going to take him in the first round. And I'm telling you, I think everybody thought he was going to the Saints. I do. Every people was shocked when he didn't go to the Saints. And when he didn't go to Pittsburgh, they were out dumbfounded. And when he slipped to the 3rd and the 4th round, people were upset. And rightfully so, because we all knew they were doing him dirty. That's what it was. So all the guys are now in the league. Notifications on. We going over the schedule. I want to say shout out to Coach Prime for this. So I don't know if y'all know, but Coach Prime and Miss Pilar, I didn't know their story, but you heard it over the years. Like when it was senior day at the school, he ran off when she approached with the boys because they share kids. They share these right here, Shiloh, Shedeur, and Shalimar. And people were like, Shedeur wanted to watch the draft at his house with his dad, at his dad's house. That's where he lived at with his dad. And if I was him, I'd keep living there. And we heard that Miss Pilar was going to be there. And everybody was like, how the hell that's going to work out? And Coach Prime said it on his show, We Got Time Today. He said, I'm going to make the sacrifice, to put the past behind and allow my son to celebrate with me and, his family and his mom. And I saw her all weekend. She's a true mom. You could see the look on her face, worried about her baby. But she know her son, what is Shedeur's nickname? Grown, right? She knew he was going to be okay. But you could tell she's a mom. And look at them in this photo. If you go back to senior day at CU to see Coach Prime turn around with them toes and run off, you knew he did not interact with her. He felt like it was best to protect himself that way. That's how you know these people are good. These are good people. They put their past beside. Coach Prime put beside everything to come so they could celebrate as a family. On the first day at the end of the draft, Shedeur was singing Perfect Timing. After they were drafted today, they had a praise break They are spiritual people, religious people. They are godly people. They believe what they saying, and that's who they trying to tear down. And that's what I can't get with. That's why I couldn't. The second day, I was like, I can't do it. I can't watch you take one person and humiliate them in front of everybody, especially knowing that this person believes that they are God favorite and they live that way. That's a different situation. That's on another level right there. That's evil. That's not bias. That it might stem from bias, but that's evil if somebody's willing to do that. And I just can't get with that kind of behavior. So people are saying that the Saints are going to be the Aints because they just don't make good decisions. They don't choose to win. They in preservation mode. They in preservation mode. They've had black quarterbacks. They're not afraid of black quarterbacks, but they're in preservation mode. And see, I want y'all to understand these teams. I had a chance. I think this is my first time watching the draft. I really do. I sat and watched the first round, obviously all of it because we were together. 4 hour live podcast, a live stream. And I noticed something. I noticed every single time they showed the green rooms where the teams were, everybody was white. Like everybody. I was like, God darn. And it's such a stark contrast as to who plays in the league, whether it's quarterback or not. And then I saw another team, and then another team, and then another team. And I think Chicago had the most black people I saw. The Cleveland Browns, I think it was just the GM, and everybody else was white. I was like, God. And see, it's something wrong with that. When everybody that works for you, or when you put all 32 teams together and all the owners and executives are white and all of the laborers are black, well, majority black. It's something wrong with that. It's saying it's okay for you to work for me or labor for me. And remember, quarterback position is different. They already give them black QBs hell. But I can't let you run the teams. So when these guys are in college right now and they getting this NIL money, I'm gonna give y'all a little tip. Y'all might want to start thinking about staying in school and getting that money. Quinn Ewers was offered $6 million to go back to college, hop in the transfer portal, and go back to college rather than declare for the draft. He got drafted number 251, 231. His contract probably is not even $5 million. So he took a gamble and lost. And his people are upset. They are even using the word collusion. They are shocked. They are befuddled that they would do this young man this way. UT went to the semifinals of the Natty. I don't even know if Will Howard from Ohio State got drafted because I had to stop watching. He won the Natty. Lincoln Riley, who went to Notre Dame, played in the Natty. I don't even know. But Shedeur, of all the people in the draft, and of all the quarterbacks that have come on since, I know Michael Vick got done the worst. He got blackballed. And if they could do this to the most NFL-ready QB in the draft, they're going to do it to any of them. And that's what every player who has eyes and ears that saw what happened to Shedeur, Travis, Taj Brooks, anybody that was drafted or signed or elected to sign up and work for the NFL, you better know the message was for you too. This is their league. They just going to let you work in it. And they want you to shut up and dribble and possibly get a white woman on the way out. All right, so let's go through these comments. The NFL used 2 for clicks and views during this entire draft process. Yep, and they still using it for clicks and views. I was saying before I went live, I was online. I said they got Shedeur plastered everywhere. Everywhere. I know Nike was pissed. I know Gatorade was pissed. Shedeur has had these endorsements. They just knew he was going first too. If you think that these sponsors that also sponsor the NFL, Gatorade and Nike, are happy with the way they did Shedeur, knowing how they benefit from this, oh, you just wait. There will be fallout from this. It ain't gonna be today. It ain't gonna be tomorrow. But there will be fallout from what happened for Shedeur being blackballed, colluded against the NFL. The NFL was just found guilty of collusion against black veteran QBs. Has a documented history of discrimination against black QBs in the NFL draft. There will be fallout from this. Believe me. Believe me, they will. It said, no name calling. If you don't like Shedeur, stop tracking him. Why are you here? So somebody's upset. It said, yes, it's racism. First 116 players out of 150 drafted. First 4 picks. So yeah, see, some people think that because the league is majority black, that they couldn't possibly discriminate against black QBs. Those people are uneducated. They don't know that the NFL has a hierarchy when it comes to positions. You heard me say how some analysts don't think running backs even deserve to be drafted in the first 10 picks or the first round at all. And how I said multiple times, that the quarterback position, that they didn't even want black QBs to even exist. The quarterback position is the most important and the one that they covet. So yes, there's flat out in your face racism. Absolutely. So, so there you go. It says, we were so upset, but we saw racism right off the base. This is not 1955. Yes, because that's what the league, it looked like they're trying to set up like a Jim Crow. It was okay for Jackson Dart to wear his hat backwards, but not Shedeur. So it's okay for Jackson Dart to use the whites only fountain, but not Shedeur. That's what they're like setting up. And they want everybody to be okay with it. And it seems like they don't even respect black fans. If I'm black and Shedeur's black and I see the way you doing Shedeur, why would I want to patronize you? But see, that goes back to Colin Kaepernick. They didn't want him to stand up for black people in terms of social justice. And not until after that whole fiasco where they blackballed him, did they pick up the whole social justice lingo. But then when Trump asked them at the Super Bowl, allegedly not to put that on the end zone while he was there or whatever, guess what? They did it. They said, okay, and they didn't put it down. And ever since then, they've been acting out. And then guess who comes back today and calls them out? Right. We were very upset. We knew right off the base, this is not 1955 Emmett Till. Yep. 2025 is still going on. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And Shannon Sharp, I was thinking about, I think, was it Shannon Sharp? I said to Shannon Sharp, I asked Shannon, how did he get himself in this situation? Because he's from rural South Georgia. And if you know anything about Georgia, Georgia is in the deep fried South. So, you got to make better decisions and don't struggle with accountability after something like this, because you could have been Emmett Till. You could have been Jonathan Majors running down the street. Hell, you could be this guy. There was a young guy. You see, guys that play football, they used to get caught up and sit to jail in high school and lose their scholarships and their NFL future for the same things that's going on with Shannon Sharp. At the age of 17 in high school, it say, I know exactly how you feel. Yup. Where have you been? I've been looking for you. I was so mad. That's hot grease. Yep. That's why I say I think we are all on the same page now. We all that message wasn't just for Shedeur. We got that message too. And if you think that we don't care about Shedeur, then why were you trying to get views with his name? And see that's lacking common sense. So I want to use him for views and clicks, but the message that I'm sending to him, they not gonna get. Really? Does that make any sense? No. Oh no, only took 116 black me out of you first. 150 must be, yeah. So some people they don't get it. They say, oh, it was Coach Prime's fault. The only people that say it's Coach Prime's fault are using a smokescreen, so you don't see that they actually tore Shedeur down just to justify a lesser talented QB. In other words, I heard they were celebrating mediocrity. They tore down Shedeur so he would be less desirable, so they could pass through a lesser talented QB. That's what they did. They were never going to draft him. That is heinous. That is defamation. That's a lot of things. You did so essentially. You did all of that for QB you were never going to draft because you didn't want people questioning your judgment for drafting a lesser talented QB. That's why they dragged Shedeur, just so he wouldn't be desirable. Because guess what? If the Giants would have passed off on him and he was desirable, he would have went to the next team. I had to make him undesirable so nobody would get him because I don't want to get him. You know, people talked about how they like to trash a few players. It's supposed to be gamesmanship, so they'll fall to a certain team. Pittsburgh ought to feel real lowly right now. If the Saints have the Aints, because I was singing, if the Aints go marching in, I started singing that song. They all gonna feel foolish. They knew who Shedeur was. See, that's the thing. It's not like they didn't know. His talent was not a question. They tarnished his reputation so nobody else would get him because they didn't want to get him. They knew they wasn't going to get him. That's essentially one team playing the other 32, or the other 31. That's essentially what that is. So yes, he did, Queen T. I posted it. I'm gonna put it back up here. Because I think it basically it spoke volumes. And NFL ought to feel stupid. And let me tell you why. This man was at the Super Bowl. Now I was like, now why is he coming to the Super Bowl? Because it was the place to be, right? That's where everybody wanted to be. We all wanted to see it because Kendrick Lamar had his show. I wonder how Jay-Z feel because he's responsible for the halftime show. He probably conflicted. Some of the other players were probably like, damn, I'm over here celebrating. But the guy that threw the ball to me here, he can't even get drafted. And, you know, when Trump stood up, I was like, nah, see, this is what they get. When he asked, if it's true that he asked them to take end racism down in New Orleans, and they did. He left at halftime. So one, they should have never took it down. Two, you waste your time because he left at halftime. And you didn't care about the people who care about social justice. And the people that care about people who need people to care about social justice. And then he come out and say this today. Are you stupid? You see what I'm saying? They played themselves already. This post right here from Trump shows that they played themselves. They played themselves. They embarrassed themselves. They blackballed a good person, and no team wanted to pick him. Mike Tomlin said this. He said there was some calls that came before they made their pick in the first round. And they had to listen to what was being said. And when they listened to what was being said and they saw who else was available, they went with the other guy. What does that sound like? Defamation of character. So when Mike Tomlin get fired from the Steelers, I want him to come back and remember draft day. Because like I said about the coach for the Saints, for the Falcons last year when it came to Michael Penix Jr., you damned if you do and you damned if you don't. So you might as well do what's right. If they was already talking about if they sent Aaron Rodgers so you could get fired, and Aaron Rodgers signed after Shedeur didn't get drafted. Aaron Rodgers signed after Shedeur didn't get drafted. Jackson Dart got picked after Shedeur didn't get drafted. The Giants were number 3. They could have picked Jackson Dart anyway, but they waited for somebody else to pass on him so they could say, see, look, we weren't the only ones. That's all it was. That is all it was. Right. And you're right. That's why I said it seems like every 10 years. Who was that? Is that James? It says it's been a minute since explicit racism was so blatant for the world to see, and they did a pretty good job without flinching. Well, I would agree, but here's what I think happened. I think when they got to past the third round, The fourth round, I think calls started coming in. And let me tell you why. I think they drafted Dylan Gabriel to Cleveland before they drafted Shedeur. And then they came back and drafted Shedeur. I don't think they was going to draft Shedeur. People wanted Jacksonville to draft Shedeur because they were like, Jacksonville, just get Shedeur. Just get Shedeur. And then y'all really going up. And I'm like, that is true. That is true. That is true. So there was a whole lot of politics happening. People said this has never happened before. It was unprecedented. I'm like, yeah, because normally y'all draft people because they good. But now this is about preservation of what the NFL used to look like before black quarterbacks. This is about limiting those numbers, those rapidly growing numbers of starting QBs that are black. That's what this is about. And we know Shedeur was going to start. It says it can work, but they will need facilities and stadiums and licenses, some type of sponsorship. Okay, let's talk about this. All right. So we're going back to the other subject. We're going back to the subject of Coach Prime starting his own league. Okay. I need y'all to remember something. Coach Prime went to Jackson State and they didn't even have the kind of money. They didn't have deep pockets. They didn't have sponsorships like that. He brought all of that to Jackson State. They had canes. The team had suits for Michael Strahan. They had Under Armour. Everything they needed was brought there with Coach Prime. So when I was on the train from the airport and I saw the stadium, I said to myself, Coach Prime need to start his own league. If a comedian can put together a show with 60 stops in a week, Coach Prime can find 20 football stadiums. They don't have to be NFL size. They don't even have to be high school size. I just went to a 7-on-7 tournament that took place at a high school. Most high schools have footballs. There are 20 arenas around here. There are 20 stadiums that each team can have a home stadium where they lease on the weekends to play a game. If you don't think that Coach Prime's game will be sold out, I wonder when the last time Jackson State, after Coach Prime left, how long it was before they got to a back sold out game. I went to Jackson State. That bet was rocking. If he had a team in Mississippi, he probably could lease Jackson State's arena and use it when they're not using it. They could, if Jackson State plays on a Friday, they play on a Saturday. Every HBCU got a stadium for the most part. He can use those. Trust me, he can strike an agreement. There are 103 HBCUs, and probably half of them, if not all, have stadiums. When they're not being used, they get leased. This is doable. Coach Prime, the Prime effect, you saw what he did at Jackson State. You saw it repeat at Colorado. So Shedeur is a transformative quarterback, and Coach Prime is just transformative. As a coach, an owner, a legend in football, we follow Coach Prime wherever he go. So why wouldn't we follow him to his own league? And he don't need ESPN. He got Bucky. Bucky can stream the games on his own platform. And you don't think the pregame show or Big Dog Chico would stream the games? That's what we watch. There were people watching the draft on YouTube, and it was legal. There were people analyzing the draft on YouTube. The media's covered. Mama Taisha, Miss Taisha, that put together everything. Travis and Shedeur wedding. She does the logistics for Colorado. She plans every trip that they make to and fro, hotel, this, that, and the other. You think she can't get a stadium booked? You think they don't know how to sell tickets? This is doable. Coach Prime can have a pro football league. 20 teams, 2 conferences, 4 division, 10 games in its first season. 10 regular season games, and then they go to the playoffs, quarterfinals, semifinals for the chip. It's doable. It's so doable. He already had a sports league, so he know how they operate. He already was a coach in college at HBCU level and Power 5. He know how to get it done. He getting ready to do camps in June or July. They was looking for volunteers. They can get volunteers for their own camps. And he can draft. He can set himself up and draft. The UFL gets players. So why couldn't he? And you think they wouldn't want to play for him? It's going to be sold out. I watched 7-on-7. I'm like, damn, they structured really well. Same thing. If 7-on-7 can come along and get love, he don't need the NFL. He don't need the UFL. He don't need the ESPN. He don't need none of that. He has everything he needs. The prime effect and everything that he needs to run a league, he already has done at Jackson State. He already has done at Colorado. He already did when he had youth sports. Coach Prime gets sponsorships wherever he go. Ice Cube did it. He went up against the NBA. They didn't want it, but he still did it. He got it done. They were actually playing out there some kind of game in Nashville. So, yeah, it's doable. It needs to happen. Unrivaled basketball started their own league by players because they knew what was best for players. You think Coach Prime don't know? That's what's needed. You got to have your own league if you are the guy and they snub you and your son. So, yeah, it could work. It could definitely work. So I'll tell y'all if he responded to me or not, but he probably not. But he should do it. He should do it. It says, New Orleans drafted a QB who played one season at Louisville College and played 7 years in college, and he almost 30. Oh, Lord. New Orleans is lost. I'm sorry. I'm glad I don't live there no more at this. And you know what? I told y'all I was going on a trip and I was going to stop in New Orleans, go live. I'm probably not going to stop. That's embarrassing. I don't even know what they was thinking. And of all the teams to want to prank Shedeur, it was supposed to be New Orleans. It's like ever since Alvin Kamara went out to Colorado, like people was trying to make sure that didn't happen. It says Trump just playing with emotions. Y'all so gullible. He ain't playing with my emotions. He ain't have to say nothing. He ain't have to say a word. That's the crazy part. He playing with them. He playing with the NFL because he just got them to take in racism off the ground, allegedly. And now he calling them stupid. So there you go. Heard about that prank phone call. Yeah, that was ugly. But you know what? They didn't even really know what was going on and they figured it out. And I think at some point they called back the number and it was disconnected. So people were saying it needs to be investigated. I'm like, there will be fallout, believe me. The call was from the Saints camp. That's what they said. That's what they said. And got higher ratings. I stopped watching in day 2. Yeah, me too. Me too. They are going to arrest the guy who did it. Oh, really? Who was it? I wonder who it was. Yeah, I wonder who it was. So, okay, y'all. I think I had to block somebody. And the Saints pick, that's they definitely in preservation mode because some people were saying Kellen Moore probably ain't gonna make it 3 years and not gonna even make it 3 years with the Saints. I'm like, I don't even care. But I know one thing: when Tampa Bay, we have 2 people in Tampa Bay, Will Shepherd and Shiloh. When Tampa Bay play the Saints, I'm gonna be somewhere watching, Lord willing. Because I'm going to tell you, I hope they let Shiloh play. Aside from Alvin Kamara, I hope he put it on him. I'm just going to put it on out there. I do. I hope he put it on him. So, it's just, let me see. So, there you go. There you go. And it says, and I don't trust Nick Saban. He was sitting there. Actually, Nick Saban was upset. He said Shedeur should have been drafted. It said, looking like my mother would say. All I know is after day 1, I wanted a T-shirt that said Malcolm X was right. I just wanted a T-shirt. I was like, I need a T-shirt that said Malcolm X was right. That's what I need. That's what I need right now. That's exactly. It said when the lady announced the Cleveland Browns pick, Shedeur and all Cleveland Browns fans were cheering. Oh, they were so happy. See, Cleveland been wanted to get Shedeur. The fans. The fans, when they first heard, see what happened is, okay, there was Vegas and Cleveland. Remember, Cleveland been courting Shedeur all the way back to the Shrine Bowl. They were even talking about it on TV. The GM was like, no, I don't think Coach Prime is a problem, blah, 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 blah. But like I said, the media was trying. That's why I said the media is hypocritical, because they were the ones saying that Brown's going to get scammed out of their pick because the GM is black. So they trying to say he don't know what he's doing. And then, and I don't know how he deal with that. Bless his heart. And then putting out about Deshaun Watson right before the draft, trying to make him think his job is on the line. So that's, in my opinion, that's really why he didn't pick Shedeur with the second pick, because of the whole, what we missed on Deshaun Watson. What they got to do with Shedeur? But it's like, well, he made that pick and they missed. So I guess he went the more conservative route. But I personally, he said after they picked Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur was still there, they decided to pick him. So it's going to be interesting how they do this. The guy from Cleveland was telling Shedeur, okay, so we want you to earn your keep and get ready to compete for your job, this, that, the other. And I don't know why he was saying those types of things, but I don't think Shedeur needed that. Again, these people don't know Shedeur, but they love to put him down. How do you disparage somebody talking about his character when you don't know his character? All this young man does is get better at what he does. Him and Travis both. And Travis, I'm so happy for him. They love him in Jacksonville. Like, that's they do. Like, they love Travis. Mickey Loomis is who screwed it up for Shedeur to come to the Saints. I think Kellen Moore would have been cool with Shedeur. Was Mickey Loomis, Shonda, the GM? Is that who the GM is? Because if so, that is the person when Kellen Moore got the job. Okay, so before Kellen Moore got the job, there were projections about the NFL draft. Jalen Milroe was number 40 to the Saints. Not in the first round, but the second round. I don't know. They had somebody else. They didn't have a QB in the first round. Then as we got past the combine and got closer, after Kellen Moore got the job, after the Super Bowl, and then he officially took over, it was reported that Kellen Moore wanted his own QB. But the GM, and I don't know who it is, that's why I was asking Shonda, was it the guy, Mickey Loomis? He wanted to keep Derek Carr. And then, scoot a little more, Alvin Kamara comes out to CU. It's CU's pro day. Coach Prime likes the black and gold colors, he said. Alvin Kamara comes out the next day. Everybody go crazy. And then everybody start kind of visualizing, thinking, oh my God, this could be good. People in the city loving it. Because I'm telling you, they was like out on Derek Carr. Then Derek Carr suddenly has a season-ending injury. So the pathway was being cleared for Shedeur to go to New Orleans. And I think what Mike Tomlin said happened to the Steelers happened to every team that wanted to take Shedeur. So somebody went around and sullied him so they wouldn't get him. They need to be fired and sued. But I know the Sanders, they're not going to do that. But see, that let me know guys still working on me because they should sue. What happened to Shedeur is not something that you should just let go. It is something that they should be sued for. It was collusion. You can't prove it. The phone call tells you everything. And the fact that they went and disconnected that number, they know they're in trouble. There will be fallout. Even if they don't sue, guys' ways are higher than ours. So there will be fallout. And, you know, it's funny how, I don't know if y'all heard, but Cleveland told Shedeur when he first talked to them on the phone after they drafted him, there was a guy, maybe the GM. I don't really know his voice that well, but somebody in their camp pretty high up said, I told you God works in mysterious ways. So I think Deion will not look at Tom Brady the same. I wouldn't. Shedeur surely shouldn't. You know, Coach Prime at CU, he got players that need to be drafted, right? And you see how once Shedeur got drafted, everybody else came afterwards. And Shiloh said it, man, if that's how they're doing you, I know they're not probably not gonna mess with me. He said it. He said, man, after see, and that's what they all were thinking. I'm sure that's what Jimmy, I'm sure that's what they were all thinking. I'm sure all the CU players were like, damn, I need to go to another school because they ain't gonna draft me out of CU. See, that was another one of the negatives. I'm telling you, people sat down and talked about this. push him down in the draft. It negatively affects his money. They robbed him of $35 million, but Shedeur gonna get that money back. It might be an endorsement. We're gonna get his money back. But he don't even care. And they tried attacking him, but he kept saying, I don't care when I get drafted. I don't care where I go. I just want a ball. He even told Shiloh, nah, I'm not making music no more. I'm just focused on football. This what he wants. And they tried to. They even asked him about his music one time as if he was a rapper. He said, nah, it's just what I do to release. He should have said, like some people go to yoga. Yeah, I just make music in the studio because I don't go out. I just stay home, watch film, and make music. That's my thing. You can't ask for a better person than that. Hey, y'all. Hey, Juanita. How you doing? So, Shonda, let me know if the Loomis guy was the GM and if so, that's the one that wanted to keep Carr, and then Carr had the mysterious "I'm gonna be out for a year." And the Saints even had to justify why they didn't take with the number 9 pick or QB. They were like, "Well, we still got Derek Carr, so we comfortable with our draft decision." Preservation. Colorado had 8 players that made the league. So we had 6 in total. Thank you for that, Tina. We had Shedeur to the Browns, LaJohntay to the Ravens, Jimmy Horn to the Panthers, Travis and Cam to the Jaguars. Yeah, and then we had, does that also include BJ Green and who was it? BJ Green and Shiloh. BJ Green and Shiloh. So is that 8 or is that 10? Let me know how many it is with BJ Green and Shiloh, y'all. Let me know. 22. I think Dion is going to look at a lot of people different. Yeah, and when them scouts come up there, whoo. But I know who's welcome. Cleveland. Who else? Probably Miami, because they ain't do nothing wrong. Matter of fact, that's who drafted Quinn Ewers. They drafted him, I think, 251 or 231. I'm like, man, that's crazy. And it goes to show you, so the students who hopped in the portal from CU, he went to the semifinals and still got dragged. It's politics. Who knows what's going on? Because a lot of UT people went. But they QB, he was almost the last person picked in the draft. That's crazy. I got to look into that. So, yeah, he should. Coach Prime should definitely look. Now, what is this I'm hearing? That people said, the guy I liked, the OC, said he compared Shedeur Sanders to Daniel Jones. What happened? Does anybody have any insight on what went wrong there? Or was supposed to be a compliment? What's going on here? What's going on? Y'all let me know. Because when I heard him talk about Shedeur, he said he's one of the best QBs he ever worked with. So I don't know what would make him think Daniel Jones would be a good comparison. But that's not what did it. Believe me, that's not. They were never going to pick Shedeur. This was all a plot to embarrass Shedeur so nobody else would want him and he'd fall low in the draft. And at the same time, it would negatively affect Colorado's program. That's the devil. That's evil. When you have those multiple things, that's just evil. Coach Prime will have to know who his friends are because he don't have none. No, that's what I think. That's the message. I'm like, I mean, he does. He does have friends, but it's not many. It's not many. It's not many. And the 3 that jumped in the portal because of the Buffs had not got drafted at the time, wish they would have stayed. When I heard Colton Hood hopped in the portal, I was like, oh my God. He is so good. We like him. But they said it's 3 others. Who were the other 2? Let me know the names of the other 2 that hopped in the portal. I wish them well. But what did Coach Prime say? You have to believe. You don't have to believe when things are going good. That's not what he means. You have to believe when things are going bad, it's still going to happen for you. And that's what Shedeur showed. And it shows that you are to wait well. When you waiting on God, you don't fret, you don't cry, you don't whine, you don't pout, you don't say, why me? He was up there singing his song. They was playing in video games. They was outside throwing the football around. Shiloh is a true big brother, and he loves Shedeur. At one point, the later it got, it's like he had essentially attached himself to Shedeur. He didn't want him to falter at all. He became like his angel. I'm like, that's crazy. And Shiloh to the Bucks versus the Saints, I can't wait. We're going to be watching some football live. Just know. Congratulations to the Jacksonville team and also the Cleveland Browns. Push the door. We wish them the best. Yes, yes. I'm proud of Jacksonville. Jacksonville won the first round. I don't know what the hell happened in the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. Once Shedeur got drafted, then I think I knew. And then that's when I heard about Jimmy and LeJounte went next, and then Jimmy or whatever. And that's how you know. See, those guys, I told y'all when we did the mock draft, they were ranked. So I knew they were getting drafted. Even Will Shepherd was ranked. But I do find it interesting that after Shedeur went, the floodgates just opened for CU. Except Travis at the time. What happened? It says Stephen A. Smith was upset. Skip Bayless was upset. Shannon Sharp and Ocho was upset. Michael Irving spoke out on the podcast, and so the NFL team hurt themselves. Yeah, the NFL, I'm telling you, they played themselves, bro. This was pulling back the curtain. Imagine God pulling back the curtain in 2016 and showing us that they didn't want the players to care about each other and other Black people. I want you to keep on playing. Forget what's happening out here to Black people. Which and another, it's psychotic to think that why wouldn't they care about them? That could be their cousin. That could be their mama, sister, uncle, brother. They don't want you to care about nobody that's Black other than and they only want you to have self-worth. I told y'all, Shedeur don't fit the stereotype. They don't want him to be the face of the league. He's not a sad luck story. Nobody's strung out on nothing and stealing EBT cards. They wealthy, they Black, they educated, and they godly. When I saw them doing that praise break with their mama, it was Bucky was filming, and I guess that's her religion. Bucky was filming. They didn't have on no regular music. They don't even listen to regular rap music. They listen to Shiloh music. They listen to Shedeur music. They listen to Bucky music, like when they in the gym and stuff like that. But they were doing their praise dancing, and they was all celebrating, and I was so happy. I almost shed a tear because these people tried to destroy Shedeur's confidence and belief in himself. And these people were over here, the Sanders, celebrating like he went number 1 overall in the NFL draft. And we all saw it. We all saw that. These are the moments as Black people that unite us. I'm telling you, these are the moments that lets the world see, oh, Black people do stick together. Yeah. So God was pulling back all kind of curtains on the NFL, letting the world see, y'all know Black people stick together. Jerry said he not buying the Trump thing. I think this is trolling Trump, and he may be behind the plot to embarrass Shedeur. I was actually thinking he did it because they didn't want him to buy a team, and he know Tillman Fertitta want to buy one, so he calling him stupid, which opens, you can push people out. And it actually made me think, you know what? I might be in favor of Tillman Fertitta getting a team because, they own casinos across the world and businesses, the Rockets. And guess what? They like to win. That would not be a losing franchise. They would not be okay. They would be drafting for talent, and they would have drafted Shedeur. So that's another thing that came of it. People that people see that the Saints, they need to move on. And that's what it was given. It was given the league is stodgy, it's old, it's stuck in the past. It's mad about the present and the progress and what the future holds. And it did everything it could to make sure that there were not 3 more well-paid, double-digit millionaires starting for some NFL teams. That's what they did. They hit them guys in their pockets. That's what they did. And look at who they gave it to. And it's not guaranteed. So that's another thing. I think Cam is the only person whose contract is guaranteed. So, yeah. It said, yes, Jimmy Horn. Yes, we was excited about Jimmy Horn Jr. Oh, yeah. Okay. So who's all in Carolina? I know Jerry are you in Carolina? Amanda says she in Carolina too. All right, Amanda. We might try to get you a ticket or 2 to go to a game so you can get us some footage. But Carolina's not that far from Atlanta, so we might hook up at a game. So I put it like that. It said NFL boycott is required. Honestly, people said they don't think boycotts work, and I reminded them as Target. I bet they do. I was trying to figure out when you have a beast like this, because this is a beast of a problem. Honestly, you can't fight it yourself. You can't, because everybody's not going to boycott. The people that probably need the boycott probably are descendants of the same people who went and bought eggs when Black people were being beaten in public. I hate to tell you. Um, I think we're doing the right thing by supporting the players. I think we're doing the right thing by talking about it, by calling the NFL out. I listen to a lot of people. I wish a lot of the black guys. I think Louis Riddick, I think that's his name, was one person. He didn't use the word racism. He said, "This is not about football," and I was happy to hear him say that. Keyshawn Johnson just said it has never ever happened before. So people were trying to find ways to put it out there that it's not right. Somebody, I think Big Dog Chico said on his platform, his caption was, the prank call was wrong. And Cleveland actually talked about the prank call. So I know the NFL is talking about it because Cleveland brought it up with Shedeur. They were like, that was nasty, what happened. So the NFL knows about it. And Trump weighing in, you can think what you want, but, he out here making people's lives hell right now. And it wouldn't be Shedeur. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Sometimes you can have an unlikely ally. And that's what that was. And it makes you go, okay. So it said, what is wrong with, it's just, no, the NFL is not beyond reproach, but it doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that there's anything any one of us or any 3,000 of us could do. When you have a beast of this nature, I said the same thing about Nico and what was going on with him at Tennessee. It's true. Sometimes you have to be still and you have to let God, because his ways are higher than yours. I'm telling you, we saw this for a reason. We all on the same page. I already said, if Shedeur is selling merch, that's whose merch I'm buying. I'm not buying no NFL merch. I've said that, but he might not be making merch. I might have to get it from, I'm going to try to find a different way to support other than giving them the money, because I do support the guys. I want to see Jimmy play. I want to see, I think, Cam and Shedeur, I think the Titans and the Browns play each other, I think. I want to see Shedeur against Joe Burrow. So I do want to see it. And when things like this happen and it's out of your control, there's nothing you could do about it. That's where God come in. To think that you could take down this beast by yourself means you don't believe in God. And if he put it on your heart to do something, then that's when you do it. That's what you do. But the Sanders family did the right thing. They stayed in faith. They were like, wow, this is crazy. But they didn't complain. Shedeur every day said, I'm thankful for another day to get the opportunity to do what I love. So all those people that passed on him and said those horrible things about him, just like us, they got to watch him be unbreakable. Robert Griffin III, RG3, put out a post after day one that says, do you see how unflappable he is? He's not even bothered. That's why he's a good QB. So the team that sullied, the people that sullied his reputation, so because he didn't want to go there or they didn't want him, and that's what I think. They truly didn't want him. They messed it up for everybody, but you were stupid for believing it. This young man has hours of film on him. And y'all all had private interviews with him. And when people were like, he this or he that, I'm like, why did all of y'all take y'all butts out to Colorado to pro day in droves? Why did y'all still want to have meetings with him, Tennessee and the Giants, if he was this and that, the other? He suddenly became this, that, and the other on draft day. It happened to Warren Sapp. They told Warren Sapp on draft day that they didn't draft him because they said at Miami he had failed 7 substance tests. It turned out not to be true. It happened to Randy Moss. They told him the same thing. So it seems like on draft day is something that they make up about people to negatively affect somebody's draft stock. And that's what Nick Saban was talking about. He said somebody went and told somebody something and it spread. Well, you know what? If that's how y'all conduct business, how the hell y'all even make $1? But this don't happen to the white QBs. There are players that have gone to jail and still got drafted first. Trevor Lawrence said football ain't his life. It ain't his passion. They was upset about it, but he still went the first round and he damn near went first. So this only happens and negatively affects. It didn't affect Baker Mayfield. It didn't negatively affect Johnny Manziel. but it negatively affected Shedeur. What's the difference? Shedeur didn't even do nothing. That's the crazy part. The others had something they could stand on, and they didn't use it. They still got drafted high and in the first round. Shedeur didn't do anything. These were all anonymous secrets that people didn't even know what was going on. And it wasn't until I saw what Mike Tomlin said, a quote from him about what happened, that I said, oh, this is bullshit. They did this to him on purpose. I saw the video of the students that pulled that prank. Oh, so there was a student? Okay, I need to, Jonathan, let me know where I can find the video. If you find it, can you drop the link in the chat? I have never seen it. Congratulations to all the teams who accepted and drafted the Colorado Buff receivers. Cleveland, congratulations. Jaguars, Tampa Bay, and Bucks. I noticed a lot of the guys went to the same teams, and I was wondering how that came about, because I don't think it's a coincidence. It might look like a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence. I really don't. But I noticed after Shedeur got drafted, the floodgates open for Colorado. It says Black Bully to Texas. Yay! And I think he's from Texas. So, okay, that means Chidozie got drafted. Okay, that means Chidozie signed with somebody. Okay, thank you. Jerry said right. When he said back with Kaepernick, fire. Yeah. And that's what I mean by this. His message wasn't for us. It was to show you how the NFL played themselves by giving in to him about removing the end racism at the Super Bowl. And he left at Colin Kaepernick's performance, so they wasted their time and gave in to something that he really didn't even care about. It was just to see if he could pull their chain. So for him to come back at them for Shedeur, that's between them. That's between them. That's what that is. It's like, okay, y'all gonna keep jumping through hoops for him, or is this when you don't jump through hoops for him? And I'm telling you, when they complied to that in New Orleans, I feel like ever since then, they've been on a different type of time. It's like all of the social justice that they were doing, they let it go out the window, and like everybody else who decided like Target to get rid of their DEI, they started turning on causes and respect for Black people. That's what it was given after the Super Bowl. And then here he come today and calling them stupid. So they ought to feel stupid. That's what happened when you play yourself, though. I'm glad Coach Prime was cordial. Yeah, Coach Prime, you know, they said when the prank thing happened, he really didn't believe that it was connected to the league. See, this right here was an eye-opener for Coach Prime, because these people are not your friends. A few of them are. But for him to be the legend he is, you know, normally it's like a fraternity. And they did him dirty. They didn't do just Shedeur dirty. And this wasn't even just about Shedeur. This is about Black QBs, period. They did Coach Prime dirty. They lied. They tried to sully his son's name by saying he's a helicopter parent. Nobody wants Shedeur because of his dad. So they don't want the Prime effect either. You see what I'm saying? What? Coach Prime got a job. People were like, no team wants to draft Shedeur because then they think Coach Prime gonna be the coach next. See, that's a lie. They said anything that you could conceive in your mind to blackball him like they did today, and he don't even care. He just want to play ball. And when Lamar Jackson was snubbed and Coach Prime asked him how he felt, he said, "I don't care. I just want to play ball." Shedeur is destined for greatness. When you get held down like this and you didn't do nothing wrong at all, you're going to rise to the top. This was them trying to hold you back. The last ditch effort. And now somebody going to be trying to figure some things out in Cleveland, because they got 4 quarterbacks. Between Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur, this going to be interesting. And Joe Flacco, and people are like, oh, they got Joe Flacco. I'm like, he's 40. He can't keep up with Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel like that. So it's going to be interesting, but we will be watching. Big Chico has the video of the guys making a prank call to Shedeur. Oh, I knew that crew was going to find out. And Shedeur got over like 3 million followers on social media, which were all probably waiting for him to be drafted. And the league even knew that. That's why I say this is some Jim Crow type activity. This is, I know you good, but you black, so I can't let you do it. That's what this is. That's why I said it's like they trying to set up Jim Crow within the NFL. Great picture. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It says Tina Davis. I see that. It says they sure did have a praise break. Yeah, I was right there dancing with them. I was like, okay. I mean, I love that family, and I don't know them. What's not to love? They a tight knit, independent group of people who love and show up for each other. Shiloh was sticking to Shedeur's side. He didn't want to leave him at all. He was like, I'm gonna be right here. He didn't even care about himself. He was like, man, if that's what they do to you, I know what they're gonna do to me. Reality. He don't care about having to, he don't care about undrafted free agent. Shiloh gonna ball. And when they play the Saints, I'm gonna be watching. They better let Shiloh loose on him, bro. I need it. I need that to happen. I need that to happen. I need a sack right out the gate. I need a QB blitz because I know. Outstanding picture. Outstanding picture. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It says, people, let's not get so excited by the NFL draft. They were blindsided by the BS call for retaliation. Turn the TV and the NFL social media off and pushback required. Well, thank you for that. But we got guys that we gonna support. We got guys we gonna support, and we gonna let God do what he do. And that's what you do with a beast. This is a beast that you can't fight on your own. There will be fallout. They apparently it's already in the works. And I knew pregame show, Big Dog Chico, I knew they was gonna find out. Because when that anonymous QB coach said what he said about Shedeur from the Giants, I knew it was the Giants. And they did too. Congratulations, Coach Prime and family. Yes. Coach Prime is a true caring man. Yeah. A beautiful family picture. And, Coach Prime called it. He said, oh, they celebrated mediocrity. I was like, and I said it at home. I said, you know what? That's exactly what it is. Everybody gets it. They made mediocre selections instead of not just Shedeur and Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe got snubbed. And for the guys that want to go to Alabama, he went to Alabama. So, and they got another quarterback over there I'm watching, Keelan Russell. And they talking about it's a fierce QB battle going on over there. I'm like, I'll be watching, and I'm not that far. I'm probably going to show up. And honestly, most people be like, well, he turned Colorado down. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. It's moments like this that unite us. I'm still gonna be watching and rooting for him. And he young, and he just made a bad choice. But that don't mean I'm gonna be quiet if they do him dirty, because that's what we talking about here. Talk is wonderful when backed up with effective. I mean, you can boycott the NFL if you want to. Everybody was white. I peeped the other day. Yes, I was like, whoa. But that explains why a lot of stuff that happens hit the NFL in the pockets. I do think they should be hitting the pockets. But it's gonna take somebody else to hit them in the pockets, because we ain't gonna make that much of an impact. Not the people on this podcast, and a lot of people not gonna do it. And I don't think y'all know that. I don't think we their biggest supporters. We support from the house. A lot of us. A lot of us have season tickets too. But there will be Saints fans say they were canceling their season tickets. That's gonna be the deciding factor. The fan base. Because if you not buying tickets, you're not gonna make a difference. Now, I ain't gonna be running out here buying no NFL jerseys. I'm creative. I'm probably gonna go to Etsy and have some things made. I'm just being honest. If Shedeur not selling merch because he focused and locked in, then I'm probably just gonna go to Etsy and have something made for Shedeur, like T-shirts for Shedeur, Shiloh, Jimmy Horn Jr., something in the colorways with their numbers or something on it to wear on game day. Same thing. I already got a Texans thing, so I already have something, because I had already started buying NFL sweatshirts, but I bought mine from Marshalls, so I kind of feel good. But I'm boycotting Marshalls, so I'm probably just gonna go to Etsy. I'm probably just gonna go to Etsy. So, that's probably what I'm gonna do. Now that's a man who loves his family. Yeah, he made the sacrifice and they look good in that photo. They really did. They really did. It's 130 of us. Please let there be 130 likes. This is the first time. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much. It said, and the few people that were in weren't doing anything, probably because they don't have roles where they have decision making power. I agree. Juanita, I said, I bet they don't have decision making power because they were sitting off to the sides. The GM for Cleveland was sitting in the front. And Cleveland and the Pittsburgh Steelers were the only teams people were telling them what to do. Nobody told another team a coach was advised to draft anybody. Mike Tomlin was told what to do. And in some respects, I was like, I wonder if he was actually protecting Shedeur because he knew that they were going to force Shedeur to QB2. And if he had drafted him, he would have to be QB2 until something happened to Aaron Rodgers. So in a way, I kind of wonder if he knew and was like, I'm not going to do it. Because he's better than that. He's better than that. And the people that are telling him, come in, earn your keep, and, try to compete for your spot, I'm like, who y'all think y'all drafted? But okay, all right, whatever. As long as you tell that to everybody, I'm good. But if you think you need to tell that to him because of the BS that they told you, then be quiet. Because you don't know him. That praise break was real. Yeah, baby. Miss Pilar was dancing. And I was like, okay. And then I remembered, I listened to the music. I said, oh, they're doing a praise break. Okay. First time watching NFL draft. Highly disappointed. Yeah. What is it? I do not recommend. I do not recommend. I will not waste my time again. I'm going to hear about the guys. These guys I've been watching for a minute. I was invested emotionally. I had to keep telling. I'm telling you, I was so upset after day one. I didn't even go live on day two. And my family was like, that's a lot. Yeah, because it was a lot. It was a lot. So I just kept watching from a distance. And I think I watched day three. I said, they're not going to draft him. And then I said, I just wait. And then I found out online. I didn't even get to see it live. So if they were using him for clicks, I think people tuned out when they started snubbing him. That's why I will never support the Rams. What the Rams? Oh, they were saying at one point they thought the Rams should take Shedeur to be a backup to Matthew Stafford. Howard is with the Steelers. Who is Howard? Who is Howard, Riley? Riley. Who we talking about? I guess it's so many comments. I couldn't get to all of them. Black community moves on 2 seconds after Shedeur is drafted. Really? On being dragged unnecessarily. I mean, we all gonna have a difference of opinion, Blue Moon. But what else do you want us to do? We're not gonna cry about this. We're not gonna even keep talking about it. We get ready to turn our attention to who the Colorado Buffs former Colorado Buffs that are now in the NFL, what their team schedules are, and who they play, and how we gonna find each other and go see them, or we gonna go live. Either way, point is, we are moving on after this podcast. I can promise you that. We are in celebration mode. And I'm proud of Shedeur for handling himself the way he did, because most people would have been crying and cussing and this, that, and he didn't do that. He believed. He said he knew. And he played his song, Perfect Timing, right afterwards. He said, I think it's perfect timing. I'm like, right? This is about God getting Shedeur to an organization that he want him to be in for whatever reason. So, this was the most watched draft because of Shedeur. Right. Exactly. The NFL is just another modern day plantation. It gives that. It gives that. And I think for the guys going into the league, I think watching what happened to Shedeur, it was a reminder. Just because they picked you, don't mean you accept it. See, that's the message that Shannon got. Just because access does not mean you're accepted. That's the message that came from today. I am not trusting the whole situation with Cleveland. The way this went down, it don't feel right. It just feels orchestrated and a setup to ruin this young man. It could be. I said he could end up being like Geno Smith. Geno Smith was supposed to be first round pick. He got relegated to the second day. Shedeur was the third day. He ended up at a trash team, which was at the time the Jets, And after a year, they traded him. Remember, they got 4 QBs. They have Gabriel, Shedeur, Joe Flacco, and Kenny Pickett. Oh, and let's not forget, Deshaun Watson will be back next year with $46 million owed to him. So somebody's getting traded. So Jerry, you might be on to something. And it might do him like they did Kenny Pickett. Did Geno Smith, and Geno just now getting. How many years has it been since he got snubbed in the draft? I need to look that up because he went to the Jets first, which was a dud. And then after 1 year, they never let him get comfortable. Then they sent him to the Giants for a year, I think. Then the Chargers. Then the Chargers sent him to Seattle, where Jalen Milroe is. And they talking about his career was resurrected, which was a lie. He was in trash teams, and they kept moving him around. And then he got $75 million in Vegas. Sam Darnold got $100 million. And they want to say, well, he's older. His career wasn't great. If you kept sending him to horrible places that aren't properly run well, don't have good coaches, yeah, that's what's going to happen. It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's what they're doing. And that's why they got exposed from 2010 to 2022. And I know he was a part of that group for the way that they discriminated against black QBs in the draft. So it said years ago, they didn't want black quarterbacks. I'm like, they didn't get over that. Hell, some people haven't gotten over the fact that slavery, emancipation happened. So, it is what it is. Jerry say the president may be behind it. Anything's possible. Shedeur, congratulations. We adore you. Absolutely. 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 Shannon Sharp is a Georgia country mouse. Why? What? They do the same thing with Angel Reese. Yep. And I did a video about it last year. I said Angel Reese and Coach Prime got the same haters. The same haters. You're on it. They played with Deion recruiting too. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence. After Shedeur got drafted, the floodgates opened. They know what they're doing. They have talked about this. They have had these conversations on the golf course. They had these conversations at the spa. They had these conversations on conference calls, in the gym. I would love for somebody to get in these people's emails, phones, cell phones, and be exposed, because I know they have had these conversations, and I know it came with some slurs. I know it did. I know they have conversations about black QBs now being a majority as of last year. I know they had conversations on how to prevent it this year. I know they had conversations on what to do with Milroe, what to do with Shedeur, how we don't get 3 additional black starting QBs. I know they did. It's bullying at his finest, in my opinion. You talk about bullying kids. This is, no, you're right though, Queen T. This is bullying. That's exactly what it is. I'm very proud of Shedeur. He will bow out. Yes, and God got him. And that's what we have to believe. And that's what we actually don't have to believe. That's what I know. I watched how this young man handled himself. We talked about it at home. I said he didn't flinch. I'm like, he was unbothered. Just like he was unbothered. Just like we talked about, who was it talking about Travis and Shedeur? Cam Newton. And I posted, I said, Shedeur is unbothered by the things that is like Cam was coming at him. I feel like this has been his whole life. And he just not worried about it. He knew he was getting drafted. I think it was a shocker that it went so late, but that's clearly because people tried to defame him. But they're still on the NFL. I don't care if it was the media or somebody in one camp. All of this information used on a white QB, and you still would have drafted him and would have talked about it later, because you wouldn't have let him get away. You tried to make Shedeur think he wasn't valuable, that he's not all that he's not a QB. You tried to break his confidence and you failed. And my thing is, I don't know how you trust people like that again. See, that's where I'm different. See, when you show me who you are, When you show me that you trying to destroy me, and I know I said I was God's favorite and I live like that, and I don't see you doing this to other people, and you trying to shun me and make me think I'm not who I really am. You trying to destroy my confidence. I can't trust you no more. I can't, because you have shown me who you are. So, I feel like he's being protected by the team that he's going, by the team that God chose. We got to remember, they closed all the doors and God opened one, and that's how we got to look at it. So we know God got it. We know God got it. Maybe those players who hit the portal will come back to see you. It's possible. They shouldn't have hit the portal though. They shouldn't have hit the portal, because you go to see you, and the words I believe are everywhere. And the lesson is, you watching your QB who stayed calm on the field be dragged through the mud and blackballed, and he didn't flinch. So why would you? And maybe they should just move on. This situation showed Coach Prime who his friends are. It showed him who his real players are, because only 3 hopped in the portal. And I knew this was going to happen. I talked about it. I said, this is going to negatively affect the program. People going to start thinking. And yeah, they jumped the gun, but it's okay, because 3 more are going to show up. Everybody can't go to Georgia. Everybody can't go to UT. Everybody can't go to Ohio State, Notre Dame, and every other SEC school, and Ole Miss, and this, that, and everybody can't go there. Yeah, they're probably lesser talented players who go to Georgia, but you got to get picked to go to Georgia. And when you get there, you got to get picked to start. So I'm not saying go to see you because you can't go to Georgia. I'm saying if you could have went to Georgia, you would have went to Georgia. Okay. So I know that they probably tried to highlight, drag Shedeur down and ruin Coach Prime program, but we still gonna be here. Coach Prime got a guaranteed contract, don't he? We gonna be here. And the players that here's what the players need to learn from this. Oh, we gonna need to go all the way. Yeah, you're gonna need to win that Big 12. You're gonna need to give them something to talk about. You can't play like in the Alamo Bowl. You can't do that. And if you think jumping to another school is gonna get you drafted, it might get you on a roster. But how if you started at CU and you leave to go to another school, there are teams out there that they do like Coach Prime. Not everybody's against him. Everybody is not against these people. Everybody is not. So it was this situation when you learn who your friends are. When they showed the Browns room, their expressions were like something else. Yeah, people talked about that. People say they tried to explain why they look like that. I don't think they were going to take him. I think they were taking Dylan Gabriel instead. But maybe the GM, hell, they could have been arguing. I don't know. But the GM said, I told you God works in mysterious ways. So they've been talking about something. Whoever that was that said that, they've been talking about something. And honestly, I really don't care where he end up, because he going to ball out anywhere. My takeaway is they tried to blackball him, and he didn't do nothing wrong. He didn't do nothing. He didn't do anything to give them a reason to go running around lying to him. That's what Nick Saban said. Somebody went and started talking. The NFL teams didn't have to believe it. They said that's what happens. They said that's not what's supposed to happen. But when one team back away, the rest of them back away. They had done this to other people too. This was not just about Shedeur. And Shedeur's happy, and I'm happy for him. Travis is happy. I know all about. Jimmy was happy. I didn't see LeJontay. I'm happy that Chidozie got picked up because he deserved to be picked up. The fact that all of our guys are getting signed because they're talented. And after their QB got picked, the floodgates open for them too. I find that very interesting. So now, y'all know Chidozie gonna do the work to make the team. Cameras, we have dogs. Everybody that got signed is not afraid to go out there and work. BJ Green is a dog. The Steelers never said that he was going to draft that guy, Shedeur. The Steelers had to get the stuff they needed. I think the Steelers were going to draft Shedeur. But the problem with the Steelers that I talked about on day one was their organization was not aligned. Their organization Mike Tomlin liked Shedeur, but nobody else wanted Shedeur. And Mike Tomlin did say, I read it myself, that phone calls came in and they had to listen to what was being said. And when they saw who was still there, they chose the other guy. That's exactly what he said. I went back and Googled it. I probably screenshotted it because that's what I do. Because if I'm going to say something, I'm going to have evidence to back it up. They don't like Angel Reese, but they use her name for clicks. Right. And here's the thing. It's not even Angel Reese that they don't like. It's black women being the face of the league. And they want white women to watch. Shedeur is about to be the face of the league. Whether they want it or not. It's coming. It's too many people was watching this. That's why I say the whole thing befuddles me. Because if you were strategic and you used his name for clicks, you know he had an audience. And you knew your audience was going to watch. But you knew he had an audience too, right? You didn't bother to check to see he got 3 million followers. You didn't bother to pay attention to how loved he is by everybody. You didn't look at the comments on his page, the likes, this, that, and the other. So you just going to go out here and slander somebody you don't know who it is. And now you got to deal with all this backlash. When I tell y'all Bubba Dub went off, he went off. He said, I'm going to burn it down if you don't stop playing with Shedeur. That's what he said. The only reason I didn't share it is because he was cussing. I'm going to burn it down if the NFL don't stop playing with Shedeur. Which means we all were thinking the same thing. They playing in his face. And now they got to deal with the backlash. So we're going to let God do what he do. Trump calling NFL owners stupid for passing on Shedeur is... I know they was like, oh, he stabbing us right in the back. Because he the reason he made us take in racism down. Right. He did that. Because he know his friend want to buy the Saints. Understand, that's his friend. For they friends. I think Fertitta might be like the ambassador of Italy or something. They friends. And I think Fertitta want the Saints and we're calling them stupid and Shedeur was going to go to the Saints and his friend want to buy the Saints. You see it now? That's what this is. That's what this is about, his friend buying the Saints. That's why it was the Saints. Coach Prime is a what? Okay. Let's see. He race baited. They Cam and Milroe are black. Don't fall into Trump trap and black. Okay, don't make me block you. Shedeur said he got tired of them asking him the question at every meeting. He's a leader. Is he a leader? He said, come on now. See, that goes back to the Lamar Jackson draft. That goes back to why they didn't draft Warren Moon, why he went to the Canadian Football League. That goes back to Robert Griffin III. That goes back to every black quarterback that has passed through the NFL. They use the excuse that black quarterbacks don't have the mental capacity to lead. It's racist. Hey, sounds of bliss in nature. Welcome, welcome, welcome. They colluded against Shedeur. Yep. They had to pick him not to get sued or save face. I don't know. I mean, they still could, to be honest. They still could. The question is who would do it? Because now Quinn Ewer's camp is calling collusion. So I don't know. I'm telling you, there's gonna be fallout. There's gonna be fallout. They sure did. And Jax turned around and signed half the team. Right. And the crazy part is I think Jacksonville had a pick like at 105, and they were like, just get Shedeur. Just get Shedeur. But see, here's what people are saying. There were people behind the scenes applying pressure, trying to make publicly trying to make Mike Tomlin do something that he didn't even want to do. Wasn't just if they knew Mike Tomlin liked Shedeur, they were pressuring him to make sure Shedeur is QB2. The next conversation that we will start having now that he's in the league, why do they only want him to be QB2? They just made Milroe QB2 behind Sam Darnold, who they just paid $100 million. You see, it's gonna require something transformative to happen for Milroe to be one. It's not just Shedeur. And the longer we focus on Shedeur, we forget about all the others that they did this to. We forget about Geno. We forget about Jalen Hurts. We forget about Lamar Jackson. They're gonna do this to somebody next year. Because as long as the numbers of black QBs are growing, at some point they're gonna change the rules, and the QB not gonna be the most important part of the team. They're gonna pass the baton to somebody else. It's probably gonna be a tight end or O-lineman. Just be honest, because they are looking for ways to make sure that black players don't outpace the white players in general. And all the while they working on that, black QBs are stacking up. Already the majority starting. And that's what Milroe, Cam, and Shedeur were adding to. That's what they trying to stop. This ain't about Shedeur. Milroe got snubbed too. The more people say it's about Coach Prime, it's so you'll ignore that this is racism. If it's personal about Coach Prime, it's his attitude, he a helicopter parent, you get lost in that argument and you don't get to think clearly and say, that's the same comment that y'all use to justify 400 years of slavery. These are the same tactics you use to break the confidence of black men and black slaves. Something that happened every day. If you caught up about Shedeur and Coach Prime, you will overlook and not be able to make a valid point that the NFL has an ugly, documented history of discrimination against black quarterbacks in the NFL draft, something we just watched. How many times you hear anybody else say that? Put it in the chat. How many times y'all heard anybody else say that? Because they gonna talk about it or they don't know. But I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna always look up something. So, when Lamar Jackson came along, they tried to use a test to keep him from being drafted. Because what was happening with him is he's a damn good dual threat quarterback. And you see, he ain't got to the Super Bowl yet. It's not just about Shedeur. This is about black quarterbacks. I have a image here I wanted to share right fast. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is right here. All right, so let's see. I had a video. I think I showed the video of the family, of them celebrating. So let's see if I'm gonna find this last video and we're gonna get ready to get out of here. All right. See this right here? I want you to look at the dates. I want you to look at the dates on this. What does this say right here? New evidence. It says Sports San Francisco 49ers. New evidence shows how badly, keyword is badly, NFL teams discriminate against black quarterbacks in the draft. This is discussing 2010 to 2022. We only in 2025. Did you hear anybody else talk about this? They pushed them down in the draft and they messed up their money. And if they get through like Caleb Williams, they get sacked unmercilessly, like Bryce Young, Caleb Williams. CJ Stroud escaped it in his freshman year after he took them as far as he did. But in his sophomore year, he was sacked 52 times. Does that number sound familiar? Shedeur Sanders was sacked 52 times first year. This not happening to nobody else. They making their life hell. I'm going to either mess with your money, and once you get in, if you start, I'm going to make your life hell. So the team that Shedeur goes to is important because Bryce Young was sacked behind an O-line that didn't protect him. That's his teammates. So the team Shedeur go to is important. CJ Stroud sacked 52 times behind an O-line that didn't protect him. The team Shedeur goes to is important. There have to be people there to hold the O-line accountable. So it doesn't happen that he sacked like Caleb Williams in Chicago, where y'all saw 4x4 black people in the chocolate chip cookie 66 times, because there are already people asking how many times he gonna be sacked. It's not hazing, it's not baptism. It don't happen to the white QBs. It's racism. All right, so I'm gonna get myself out of here. I appreciate y'all. We made it all the way to 1:30 something. We'll be back. Make sure you turn on your notifications. We will talk about the schedules. Hey, Willie, how you doing? We will talk about the schedules. And we're probably gonna start with Cleveland. I already looked at Cleveland's schedule. I saw that it looked like Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders will play. So here's what's getting ready to happen. The schedule for Cleveland will be announced on May 14th. What I can see right now is the teams that they will play. I can't see the dates. So we're going to start looking at who they play to get our matchups together. Did anybody get a clear number of how many Colorado Buffs made it to the league, whether it's signed, undrafted, free agent, which I knew a lot of them were going to be that, or drafted? Does anybody know? Cleveland passed over Shedeur 5 times before they finally picked him. They don't trust his talent. It's not even about his talent. It's not about his talent. It was about the fact that every other team backed off of him and passed him up 6 times. And they said that's how it works in the NFL. When they see one team back away, everybody backs away. So the person that ran around and started saying stuff about Shedeur started the avalanche unjustly and needs to experience some consequences, whether they fired or banned from the league, because they defamed Shedeur. They knew the process. They knew how the teams would respond. Nick Saban said that's what happened. Mike Tomlin confirmed, based on him saying about when they were getting ready to be on the clock, they got these phone calls and they had to listen to these phone calls. And they made their decision based on who else was out there. I mean, you ain't got to really read between the lines to understand that people were calling teams and trashing Shedeur so nobody would draft him. So somebody was plotting against him, and it don't even matter the reason, because it's wrong. This is supposed to be a business. That's not how you conduct business. That sounds like some 3rd grade mess. It makes the NFL look like a joke. Somebody even said it. This makes the league look embarrassing if you're going to listen to somebody talk down on somebody when that's not what you're even judging on. And given the history of the other players that have come through with issues, why him? Yeah, it makes the league embarrass themselves. People support the players. Roger Goodell might be out of job. They was already booing him. He was like, oh, come on. He might be on the clock himself. Something is going to have to change, because there are people holding the league back. Is it the owners? Is it the executives? Is it the GMs? I mean, look at how the Giants function. Look at how they fumbled Saquon Barkley. That wasn't the owner. The owner was not happy. He said he wasn't going to be able to sleep if Saquon Barkley left. He probably sleep deprived. The GM did not care. So who's really the problem? The owners who out here living a billionaire lives, while these GMs that they pick destroy the franchise? And because the owners don't have the experience, they trust in the GMs, or that's their cousin, sister, brother-in-law, down the street neighbor, and they don't want to fire him because, I don't know, maybe it's going to affect the next country club outing. But maybe as long as I get my tax write-off, I don't care. Or if I make my money in another way on merch, ticket sales, and shopping malls and gyms that are tied to my corporate campus, maybe I don't care. Whatever it is, it ain't right. And our guys are trying to get through And we just gonna have to be there to support them and to pray for them. We see God is on their side. God, all the doors were closed in Shedeur's face, and God opened one. And that's the one I'm a cheer for until he don't want to do it no more. So, Black Bully. So I think y'all was trying to tell me that it said and Shedeur had Young Dolph's son at the draft. I didn't know that was him. I posted him on, y'all check out my Instagram. I posted a lot on that for the days I wasn't on here. So yeah, I didn't know that was him. I thought that was their little cousin. He's growing up with them. See, that's what I'm talking about. They took that young man under their wing. He's gonna grow up. He's growing up around a great family. A great family. And kudos to his mom for letting him grow up with them. Wow. That's huge. That is huge. That is huge. That is. Shiloh and Tampa Bay Bucks plus 3 others. What 3? Who's what others? AAR. What 3 are in Tampa Bay? I'm gonna have to go look. Major facts, Josh. Hey, Josh. Exposing the truth. Did you know Shiloh fired Dion as his agent because he said it wasn't working? Hired Drew Rosenhaus and signed with the Bucks right after. What? No. Maybe a lot. Maybe that happened to a lot. I mean, I don't know if that had nothing to do with it. And maybe it did. Maybe that's what he needed. I don't know. But I will say this. After Shedeur got drafted, the floodgate opened for Colorado. That sounds a little orchestrated. LeJounte went almost right after Shedeur. And no, I didn't know that. Right. The Browns didn't want Shedeur. The Browns traded down and got the QB they really wanted, Dylan Gabriel. The only way they got Shedeur guy they traded up, the Sanders guys they traded up. Well, I'm going to say this. Somebody getting traded. I don't know when or where because they got 5 QBs. They have Deshaun Watson, who's injured until next year. They got reimbursed for his contract, which means they had the money to draft. They drafted Dylan Gabriel because they passed on Shedeur. For whatever reason, they came back and drafted Shedeur. Now, for all of the pressure, all of these teams are under. This wasn't no random rinky-dink person running around lying. Somebody at the top was applying pressure. And it's likely that somebody at the top got pressured. You better draft Shedeur. Shedeur has Nike, Gatorade, Beats. Let me tell you something. These people also sponsor the NFL. You have people who are watching this. If Trump took the time to find out, everybody know. Everybody know. And there were some phone calls made, and it wasn't Coach Prime. And that's why they drafted him. They got pressured into it. Somebody's getting traded. And we'll be back to talk about that too. All right, y'all. I'm going to get out of here. Thank y'all so much. We got to 139. Hopefully everybody hit the like button. I appreciate it. We will see y'all later on. We'll be back, I guess, tomorrow night. It is Sunday night. So we'll probably be back at our regular time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, tomorrow night. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all later. Thank y'all so much for the support. I appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out if you didn't already. See you later, guys.